when you're at work, you're really worried that you're going to say something stupid.
Yeah, that's something always in my mind.
What would be so bad about that if you say something stupid at work?
Because people would think I was weird.
And what would be so bad if people at work thought you're stupid?
They wouldn't be friends of me.
And what would be so bad about that if people at work don't want to be friends of you?
Well, I just have no one to talk at work.
Then what would be so bad about having none to talk to at work?
I mean, the shoots can go on the whole day. So just be myself the whole time.
And what would be so bad about being by yourself, you know that for the whole day?
Generally, I guess I should be used to it. Now, I spend a lot of time by myself.
That must be tough. What does that mean that you spend a lot of time on your own?
You know, I guess it's just like I spend too much time by myself. That's kind of like I'm not even worth being friends with.
So it sounds like deep down that you think that you're not worth being friends with. That's quite negative belief. I mean, how much would you say that you believe that out of 100, if 100 is where you believe it totally, in zeros where you don't believe it at all?
Yes, like 95.
When did you start believing that?
I think it's probably at school. Yeah, at school.
What was it at school that made you start to believe that you weren't worth being friends with?
Just like quite a lot of things. We don't have anyone said at lunch or people's birthday and stuff. I wasn't invited, and like I was in the last one pick for teams and stuff like that.
And what is it now that makes you think that that's still true?
I mean, it's kind similar at work. Obviously, difference that it's work law school, but but people go for drinks and stuff after work, and I just kind of excluded a lot of time.
That sounds tough. And is there anything that makes you think that it's not true that you're worth being friends with?
I guess my friends and family would say I am like I try to make a lot of time for my friend and stuff.
Okay, so it sounds like deep down you have this hope that you are not worth to be friends with, and that started at school when you had trouble making friends at school, and that you can't always speak for teams, and that now at work it feels like the same thing is happening, that you're not always out for drinks with people after work, and that sometimes you feel that you're excluded from the social groups. But then that's not the whole story, that on the other hand you are close to your family, and you do have friends who would say that it's not true that you're worth being friends with. And in CBT, we do a thing called thought challenging, where we have these negative thoughts. Sometimes we actually put them up to scrutiny. We weigh up the evidence for and against them, and I like to think that if us putting the thought on trial, could we do that now, where we just actually try and weigh up the evidence for and against that thought about more?
Okay.
Okay, so if I just put two columns here so far, for and against, and it sounds like the evidence for this thought makes you think that it's not true. Is there difficulty at school?
Yeah. Yeah.
Making friends being picked for teens, and difficulty at work for being excluded sometimes from groups.
Yeah.
But actually, in this other column, we have that you are close with your family and that you have some close friends. Okay, now moving back to this first column, is there anything else that makes you think that it's true that you're not worth being friends with?
Um, just like I kind of don't go a lot of stuff, and people have like gatherings. and things in a lot of time, I just don't go, and I just stay at home and don't go to parties.
No go to parties. What kind of parties are we talking? Like small parties, big parties?
Mainly big ones, and if there's a lot of people there and just find it really, it kind of make me really anxious. So a lot of time I just prefer not to be in that situation in the first place.
Okay, so you don't go to larger parties and events. Okay. Is there anything else that maybe things that you might think that is not true that actually you're worth being friends with?
I mean, I guess my friends would say that I was, and I do. I do have close friends, and it's like there's stuff that's important to them. I always make sure that I think about that, even if I find it stressful. I always make sure that I can put them first.
Okay, so your friends would say that you're worth being friends with.
Yes.
And it sounds like you put your friends first.
Yeah, I do make sure I try to do that.
What kind of ways do you put your friends first?
I guess when it's birthday or it is something important to them, I always make sure that I'm there, and I put a lot of thought into presents and stuff like that.
Can you give me an example of a time that you've done that?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wouldn't do if you weren't a good friend?
I guess that I kind of always put myself in situation, even if I find it kind of it makes me anxious. If it's for my close friends and I know that it's something that's important to them, I always put them first and make sure I'm there.
So you'll tolerate your anxiety if it means something to a friend of you.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the moment in the fourth category, we've got that you have difficulty making friends at school, that you're having difficulty now at work making friends, and then you don't go to larger parties or events. But actually, there's a lot of evidence in the against column that would suggest that actually you're worth being friends with and you're a good friend, that you're close to your family, you're close with your friends, and would say that you're a good friend. You put your friends first, and even when you're anxious, you tolerate your anxiety if you know that it will mean something to them, and when things are important to your friends like birthdays, and you'll make a real effort. You'll even actually go to the effort of organizing events and baking cakes and doing things like for other people. And is there anything else that you do that makes you think that maybe you are a good friend, you are worth being friends with?
I guess when I wasn't worth being friends with, though I wouldn't have these friends. I had quite a long time.
Okay, so it sounds like you got long-term friendship as well as you might have trouble making friends with, but when you make them, stick to them.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to give you this list now to have a look at. How do you feel now that you're looking at the list?
It's weird. There are actually kind of more and stuff in the against, and there's it for less. Also, love the stuff that is in the four columns. Kind of things that I make happen, like I don't go to things, and yeah, it seems like it's kind of in my hands.
So it's not that you're not worth being friends with, but actually you're choosing not to engage with people always.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and if I was asking you now, this idea that you're not worth being friends with, how much do you believe that now we're done this exercise where 100 is where you really believe that you're worth being friends with, in zeros that you don't believe it?
Maybe I guess I say maybe 40. I think. I do always think that it might be true, but I believe it's less than I did before.